All right, friends, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We're going with the tier makers again for a second day. This time I decided to change it up though. I want to try to do something new. So we're going to be doing empire tier list. So what we're going to do is go through some of these empires. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what some of these are. For example, I don't know what this is. So we're not going to add that. The rest I have pretty clear understanding what they are. German Empire, Belgians, Austro-Hungary, uh, Zulu, American, Spanish. So we're gonna go to each. Thanks for joining us today. This is tiermaker.com. It's a lot of fun. If you enjoy what you see, please like, share, and comment. Please comment if you guys want new things. Tell me what you want to see. If you want more original content, or you want me to do more stuff like this, and maybe even more reviews. So we're gonna get started with this, and let's see how it goes. Alrighty, so let's start with the British Empire. So the British Empire, I'm gonna give it a A. We'll give it a superb. The British Empire has been around probably it's the only empire that never fell apart. You see, whereas the German Empire collapsed, or the Austro-Hungary, or the Ottomans, or all these other empires, they collapsed into themselves. The British Empire did not. The British Empire is the only empire that actually freed its colonies on its own terms, with the exception of a few. But yeah, we're gonna put British Empire right here at number one as S. Are these both French empires? Only one. Yeah, let's go next. Austro-Hungary, which is also Austria. We're gonna put it D. I'm not gonna give it an E or F. D is kind of just meh. Austro-Hungary is kind of the reason for the collapse of the imperial era. They were the ones that set off World War One. So I'm gonna put them there because at the same time, it was the Habsburg monarchy that actually kept Europe together for so long. So I think they've earned the right to at least not be terrible. It's meh. A's good, A's very good, B's good, C's all right, D's E's bad, and F is awful. Which I'm just gonna get this one out of the way, just to get it out of the way. Um, just in general, their actions are awful. What happened during the Third Reich is awful, terrible, nightmarish. And honestly, beyond that, just in the scope of an empire, they did not last very long. The Nazi state only lasted from 1932 to 1945. And you could debatably say, oh, but they took all that land, they did this, they did that, but that was only in a 20-year span. They did not last long, and again, their actions are egregious to this very day. Who to do next? Is that really an empire? I guess this technically counts as the Holy Roman Empire. I'm going to put them a little ahead at C than Austro-Hungary. So this is the Habsburg Empire. This is what the Austrian slash Austro-Hungary Empire would become. Well, it was before Napoleon Bonaparte destroyed it. They really did keep balance in Europe. They were the successor empire to Rome. So they are up there, definitely, but they really weren't an empire. They were kind of more just a conglomerate of German states. They were actually the First Reich. So, we have the Third Reich here, we have the Second Reich here. They were the First Reich. They were just a conglomerate of German-speaking states that agreed to live on together. Now, since we talked about the First Reich, we're also going to talk about the Second Reich. They were alright. They lasted. The biggest failure of the German Empire is the fact that its founder, Otto von Bismarck, did not see a world without him. And this is honestly what led to their downfall at the end of the day. Him not being able to imagine a world without Otto von Bismarck is what brought an end to the empire of Otto von Bismarck. So it's it again, it was an empire that definitely stabilized Europe because all these German states that were in the middle felt very wronged. But at the end, because of their awful leadership under Wilhelm II, they did finally just cave in on themselves. Um, I'm actually going to put the Zulu Empire here. I am a little biased there. I do have great respect for the Zulus. I think they were a good empire. I think the empire Shaka built, though it was made in the terror of war, I think it did a lot good than bad. I think it united a region. And I think it's pretty impressive that they were able to face off, even if it was only for a few months, against the might of industrialized power to the point that they actually crushed that industrialized power at its first battle at the Battle of Asanawana on January 22nd, 1879. So I'm going to put them at B. They were a very good empire. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? I'm going to put Rome actually as superb. Rome actually, at the end of the day, Rome fell apart because they just were so. The reality was they were thriving so much that they just caved in on themselves because they had expanded to such a point and their people had become so prosperous that they were gluttonous. They lasted for thousands of years. It's they're the birthplace of the republic form of government, as well as their engineering feats alone. Just to name one, when Caesar built the bridge across the Rhine, that in itself was just sheer show of force, like what they were able to accomplish. And the Roman road systems are still to this day active, and even some aqueducts. They found out when Queen Victoria moved into Buckingham Palace that the sewer system that the palace was using was actually the aqueduct system from the Roman Empire. So it really does say a lot about them. Clearly, they did very harsh things, as most empires did, but I think influence-wise and historically-wise, they have definitely left a long-standing view of the world. Long-standing legacy. Belgium. I'm gonna put them at E. I really don't consider Belgium an empire. They held the Congo Free State. I wouldn't put them at F because I would never compare them to the Nazis. But at the same time, I wouldn't let what they did in the Congo Free State go unrecognized. The rubber plantations, the Force Publique, which were the native soldiers who were ordered that if people broke the rules or if they didn't harvest enough rubber to cut off hands and feet. There's a very sad picture of a father staring at the feet and hands of his son that the Force Publique cut off. So I don't want to let them get away with that, but I would never compare them to the actions of the Nazis. We're gonna put the Russian Empire at C as well. I think towards the end they were bad. They were very. I think under their three probably most progressive emperors and empress, they did a lot of good. They made themselves a modern power. It was just at the end they started falling apart under people like Tsar Nicholas II, or even people like his father, who just thought by show of force it made him the powerhouse of Europe, so to speak. Just gonna put them there. Again, I can't say really, the Soviet Empire did very bad things as well. They unfortunately are lucky because they got away with being the country that defeated the Germans. But they held stability for some time, but they did cave in on themselves at the end of the day because of, if you watched my video on Che Guevara and Guy Fawkes, I explained it very in detail. Communism, it can work in small groupings, but in a super nation like Russia, one that has millions of people of different ethnic groups, different races, and everything, and even the Soviet Union controlled places like East Germany and Poland. So you have all these different cultures. Things were sure to collapse on themselves. The Chinese Empire, I'm going to put at E. I'm just going to put them there. It's not good when you have a dynastic rule. The rise and fall and this and that. You're trading emperors every other generation. This is honestly what led to their downfall at the hands of the nationalists in China, and then which would later lead to the Japanese invasion of China, and then the rise of Mao Zedong and the Chinese Communist state that currently exists today. Who's next? I'm going to put Poland, Lithuania. I'll put them at D. Poland, Lithuanian Commonwealth. I wouldn't necessarily call it an empire. It definitely was a powerhouse. It had control over Eastern Europe for some time, but it's unfortunate at the hands of the Russians and Prussians that they did finally get overwhelmed. Now, this one might shock everyone. The Ottoman Empire liked to title itself the successor to Rome, the same way the Byzantines did or the Russians did. The reason the Ottomans did this was because when the Sultan took Constantinople, that was the last remnants of the old Roman Empire. The Byzantine Empire was the successor to Rome because it was the Eastern Roman Empire. So when the Ottomans had conquered most of the Mediterranean and then taken Constantinople, the capital, which is today Istanbul, they recognized themselves as the new Roman Empire. So at the end, they became known as the sick man of Europe, but you need to think about that whole period. They were able to stabilize, places like the Middle East, the entire north coast of Africa, Turkey, all these areas they were able to keep control of and keep at peace through, honestly, the same system the Romans did. They were like, you rule you just pay tax to us, and if we have troubles and we need soldiers, you come to us. So I think they were a very good empire. I think one of the worst things, in my opinion, I know there's a famous quote by the current president of Russia, where he said the worst thing to happen was the Soviet Union fell. In my opinion, the worst thing to happen to the modern age was the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. Is this Mexico? I think that's Mexico. But in Mexico here, B. The Mexican Empire is a weird thing because I'm pretty sure this is referencing Santa Anna's empire, which you could debatably say wasn't an empire. He was technically president, but he was the one that took on, again, this is a very Western view to think Santa Anna was a tyrant, think he was all these things. The people of Mexico actually love Santa Anna. He was viewed as a very charismatic and dutiful leader. It was only after the fall of Texas did they start having doubts, and then the Mexican Assembly removed him. But when the United States and Mexico would go to war in the 1840s, he would actually be recalled. But the irony was, when he was recalled, he retook power as the emperor. And again, he would be defeated again, and that would be the last time he was defeated. He would never come back to Mexican politics after that. But then technically, the Mexican Empire rose again under Maximilian I, a Habsburg prince that the the Second French Empire, put on the throne of Mexico. Now, this was in direct breach of the Monroe Doctrine that the United States had put into effect. The theory that the doctrine that Europe has to stay out of the Western Hemisphere. So they did this while we were engulfed in the American Civil War. So what happened was the Mexican Republicans didn't like having an empire, so they rose up. So Napoleon III actually sent soldiers, including an early French Foreign Legion, to suppress the risings in the name of Maximilian I, the, in quote, Emperor of Mexico. However, he would fall from power and he would be killed. And the Mexican Empire would finally end there when the Mexican Republic would rise. I think this is Persia. I'm going to go with this is Persia. I'm going to put them here. Persia was a pretty... Actually, you know what? No. We're going to put them... I'm so conflicted. Let's put them at B. Persia wasn't really... you see a film like 300 or 300 Rise of an Empire, and you like to say, oh, Persia, they're the bad guys. But again, this comes into our Western set minds that, the Greeks were a Western power and the Persians were trying to conquer them. But Persia, Persia, I would actually say the legacy of Persia is the Ottoman Empire. Persia controlled the entire Middle Eastern region up until, I believe, India. Maybe around the Pakistan area is where their reach ended. They controlled, for centuries. They controlled that region until Alexander the Great collapsed them because at the end of the day, he was just a better fighter, sadly. And that's what finally brought an end to the Persian Empire. Japan. See, this is hard to say because there still technically is a Japanese empire. Japan is still an emperor, has an emperor. We're gonna go with D. I'm not very. I'm not gonna sit here and defend the actions of the Japanese during World War II or before World War II. Japan was a agrarian society that, in the very short time, I think it was something like 10 years during the oh my god, what's it called? When Western powers came to Japan, the Meiji Restoration. That's it. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare anyone. The Meiji Restoration, they were able to go from an agrarian feudal system to a modern powerhouse within only a few years, which led to them being able to defeat the Russian Empire in the Russo-Japanese War. Again, technically they still exist, but their downfall would be in World War II, hands in hand with the Germans and the fascistic Italians, when the Americans dropped 2 nuclear weapons on them. The only 2 nuclear weapons ever fired in conflict. Let's get rid of the fascist Italy. I'm just gonna put them here. Fascist Italy was the attempt to rebuild the Roman Empire. Clearly didn't go well. They took Abyssinia, which is current day Syria, which I'm not saying isn't an impressive feat, but they also lost originally when they did. Italy pretty much, Italy at first was being cheered at the Munich conference as the people who averted war, but then when World War II did break out, the Italians sided with Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. My great-grandfather actually used to tell a story because the Italians didn't actually want to fight. They really weren't pro the war at the end. And I remember my great-grandfather used to tell this story about when they were landing in Italy and in Sicily. They were being told, oh, they're gonna fight tooth and nail. They're gonna fight tooth and nail. This is their home. They're gonna want to die for it. And the landing craft doors went down, and the majority of the Italian soldiers just surrendered. So I'm gonna put them down there. They really didn't last long. They were kind of, kind words, whooped. But yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I'm thinking this is Portugal. Or is this Brazil? I don't know. I'm awful with flags. I still don't know what this is. Is this like LGBTQT? I don't know. Egypt, they didn't really No, that's Iran. That's Iraq. The Iraq Empire didn't really last long under Saddam Hussein. They lost the Iraq-Iran war, and then clearly Desert Storm, and then Iraqi freedom. They were defeated. Belgium. I mean, Denmark. Not Denmark. Oh my gosh, the Netherlands. I'm gonna put them at A. They were a different kind of empire. They were a trade empire. They did very well for a very long time. This is Portugal, I think. The Byzantine. Honestly, the Byzantine was just a sick man. They were gonna die anyway. Yes, they held power in the region, but when the Western Roman Empire fell, it was just a matter of time, sadly, for the rest of the empire. Spanish. We'll put Spain at B. Spain did conquer almost all of South America. I think they actually did conquer all of South America. They controlled most of the lands west of the Mississippi River in the United States. And they did hold most of the Caribbean islands, as well as the Philippines and Guam. So their downfall came at the downfall of Spain during the Spanish-American War. You know, you could debatably say their downfall began under Napoleon when he took out Spain, when he conquered it. But he really didn't control Spain for long. Wellington and the British obviously came in and liberated Spain from the French. Now, this I think is... Let me double check that. Because I'm pretty sure that is Alexander the Great. I think that is... Yes. So, it's actually not... That's actually Macedonia, the modern country. But I'm going to assume this is supposed to represent Alexander the Great. And I'm going to put them there. So the reason I'm putting them there, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone who's Macedonian or anyone that's Greek. They made the big mistake of not really ruling. You know, Macedonia at the end of the day caved into the Romans. They Alexander pushed his soldiers so far that Alexander never even got home to Macedon. He would die. Well, Macedonia, I guess. Yes. He would die on campaign, and I think he died in Damascus, in the in the Persian capital. That's where he died. Portugal. Portugal, I'm going to put in the same tier as Spain. They were very similar in that fact. Brazil, I'm going to put in meh. You know, Brazil still is the largest country in South America. So, actually, are they? Chile might be bigger. No, I think they are. I've been saving off on this one. I'm going to put them here. Now, hear me out for this, because I know I'm definitely going to have detractors with this one. Both French empires were very different beasts, but they both were, in a sense, built on a very strange new form of government. Napoleon I, clearly he wanted to end the French Revolution. He'd seen what was happening. He was sick of the executions. He was tired of it all. So that was his go-to, was to end the conflict. But at the end of the day, he allowed the republicanism in him that he wanted to spread throughout Europe to push him towards war. And again, he won most of his campaigns. It took, I think it was 12 coalitions to finally defeat him. But at the end of the day, the reason he finally was defeated was because of his own hubris, that he didn't believe he was undefeatable. Now, to fast forward a few decades, we get to his nephew, Louis Napoleon, or Napoleon III. He brought in this new form of government. The emperor was the president. The emperor was president for life, pretty much. He did not change. He was the same person, or the empress, whatever you may have. But the rest kind of ran like the American system. You had an elected legislator, you had the judiciary, all three were meant to check each other. At the end of the day, though, the worst thing for the Second French Empire was the weakness of their emperor. Napoleon III was not his uncle. He was not a good field commander. He was not a good general. He did rely on very good generals like Patrice McMahon, and Jesus, I know all these guys. I forget them now. But he relied on very good generals. But at the end of the day, it's at the Franco-Prussian War where they'll finally collapse onto themselves, because sadly, he didn't know how to fight a military in power like Prussia, who had the might of the entire German states behind them. Who's this? This is, I wish they had titles on these. Just one moment, folks. Is that Iran? That's not Iran, is it? No, that can't be Iran. Is Iran an empire? Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, it's the old Iranian Persian flag. Oh, interesting. Guess we're going to put them here. Wait, where did I put the Ottomans? I mean, Persia? I don't want to put them that high. We'll put them here. Alright, let's see who... I apologize, friends. I wish I knew what all these flags were. I only know what some of them are. Oh, Pakistan. Really? I don't think that's Pakistan. Just 1 second, friends. Kingdom of Egypt. Well, that's a hard one to do. So the reason the Kingdom of Egypt is very difficult to do is because it was kind of like the Pharaoh of Egypt during Rome. They really weren't ruling themselves. Like, the British technically were in charge of it. So I'm going to put them down here, sadly. I don't want to, but I'm going to. It's not that I don't know things about them, it's the fact that I do know that, is that technically they weren't their own country at the time. They were a Commonwealth country, definitely, but they were still under the rule. This is the control of everything. This is the British control. It's very difficult, to say the least. I'm not sure what this flag is. This blue one. I'm trying to figure that out. I've never seen a flag that looks like that before. Is this Greece, maybe? I feel like that's Greece. I'm feeling Greece. Do you guys think it's Greece? Comment if you think it's Greece. No, I'm just gonna skip that one then. Uh, see what this one is. Three black crowns. Yellow. I've never seen this flag either. I'm not sure what these flags are. Alright, so we're going to finish up with this last one, which is going to be the American Empire. Now, again, this is going to be a difficult one for me to do because technically we are living in the American Empire now by the definition of some people. But I think, we talk a lot about what America has done. And sure, I'm not going to sit here and not recognize the horrors, the horrors of slavery, the Western expansion of Manifest Destiny. But I can also recognize the good. The aid of World War I, the Great Crusades of World War II, the industrialization and the good fight of the American Civil War. Things like that. And for that reason, I'm going to put us at A. It's very hard to see what influence the United States will hold in thousands of years, the same way we can with Rome. Or we can see how the British Empire backed down. Again, we are not an empire of an emperor. We are an empire of culture. America is one of the first of its kind, a cultural empire. And we've never seen that before. So I think A for now, just because of the influence we've had, the victory of the Cold War and things like that, freedom. I know people these days have very big questions about that, but I think we can recognize at the end of the day, America has done more good than bad in the world. And that's where we're going to leave it for now, friends. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and comment. Thank you so much for joining me. This was an interesting one to do, especially because these 4 bottom ones, I'm still not sure what they are. If you know what they are, please comment. I'm definitely up to be educated on them. I've never seen I think I've seen the second to first one, but I've never seen the other 3. So if you know what they are, please comment. I would definitely appreciate the education. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and as always, please subscribe. Join this growing community. We're gonna have more videos like this out more often. I love to discuss history. I know enough about all of these empires, the ones actually in the chart I have, but there's always room to learn more. So please like, share, comment, subscribe, and you know what? We'll see you tomorrow for our end of week video. Thanks. Have a great one.